Now then, people, right, I've just sat down, here I go again, my speech issues, to do some work on Beyond the Fell-Handed, and I recently purchased the Army Painter wet palette, and I figured I'm going to use this new Citadel Contrast medium with some rust grey and do a more ink-like version of rust grey for the dreadnought, and figured, right, I might as well open this. And you know me, I'll always do an unboxing, so this is the Army Painter wet palette. As soon as I get the plastic off it. That's it for the box. So in the box we get, you see all this right? Yep, there we go. A painting guide. Get more time for gaming. Spray paint dip done. It's in the name. Introducing the whole new range. Well, yeah, new range it does say. Coloured lids. Preloaded with mixing balls. That's quite handy, isn't it? I hope they've improved Army paints in general. So the speed paints range. Making a plan. Colour theory, some awesome metallics. Hey, this could be worth a read through, you know. Painting, bases make a difference. Assembling models, plastic, resin or metal. Priming your miniatures. Priming with an airbrush. How to use a colour primer, base coating, brushes. Using war paint air. What is a true colour triad? And how to airbrush. Applying washes, how to apply a wash. Get more time for gaming. Highlighting. And finishing touches. You know what? For a little freebie that came with the wet palette, I'm going to read through that. I know a little bit about each bit in there, but hey, all knowledge is useful if you use it. So we've got this painting guide, advertisement for the Fanatic paint sets. I'm not a huge fan of the Army Painter paints, to be quite honest. I've got some up here. And it's desaturated blue greys, and to be fair, it's a really nice mix of blue greys, you know, but yeah, the paint's not, it seems to have a more watery base, and it's just not what I'm used to working with, so maybe I need to give a bit more time. But I did also get these recently. Game colour. Gris Acero Steel Grey by Game Colour. haven't tried these yet, but I'll let you know when I do. Right, back to the wet palette. Wet palette how to. It's always good. I keep that handy because I've got no idea. I've never used a wet palette before. This is new to me. It may be new to you, so. Soak hydrofoam in water. Place hydrofoam in tray. Add more water if needed. Add hydro sheet. Wipe out air bubbles and start painting. Add water where necessary. Keep with lid closed to keep paint fresh. Empty water from palette. Squeeze excess water out of the hydrofoam. Dispose of hydro sheet. Right, okay. So what are they? They look like lots of sheets. That looks like a foam. That's a foam with the Army Painter branding on there. I don't know if the camera will pick it up in a certain light. Just there is an Army Painter logo. Quite a nice little detail. And I'm guessing this. No, it's nicely presented, isn't it? Look at this. A little wraparound belt. I like that. I do. Slide on, slide off. That's just a bit of card to protect the box, I would guess. Oh. Army Painter. And this must be his wet palette with his space to store brushes too. We're going to have to work out how to do this out with people. So, soak hydrofoam in water. I suppose I should go do that. I will be back in a moment. Right, we're back and we have given it a good soaking. So we'll see what it says next. Place hydrofoam in tray like so. Add more water if needed. I don't know if it's needed or not, but we'll add a bit more water back in the tray. That's clean paint glass stuff, so it's fine. Right, okay. Add a hydro sheet. Apply a dry hydro sheet on top of the foam. Right, so that's these. That's another hydro foam. That's these sheets then. Really dry my hand. Get one of these sheets. Oh, they're like almost like tracing paper. And then we place that on top of there, do we? Wipe out the air bubbles. Oh, we'll use that little card sheet that came with it. Hey, how about that? So now we've got use for the little card sheet. This is air bubble wiper. Right. Squeegee away any pockets of air between the hydro sheet and the foam, which I believe I've done. then you can start painting. Well, that's very wet since it told me to add some more water, but I'm just gonna follow them quite literally. That's what it says. Start painting. Apply paint to your palette. Now you can start painting. Okay, so let me find my colour. Not rust grey. I did say rust grey, I didn't mean rust grey. I think I mean the fang. Yep, the fang. And now I've never used this contrast medium either. So this is supposed to take your base colours like the fang and turn them more into contrast or layering paints. And I haven't looked up how to use it, but I've heard it's like 1 part to 4 parts, so we're gonna do something on the fly, see if it works. Get the brush all sorted and wet up. We've got this little dude over there that was painting, a devastator. You haven't got much of a view there of this little thing, have you? There we go. You can see a bit more what we're doing now. We've got us beyond the fell-handed here. Over here we've got us, I'm useless today, aren't I? The fang. And over here we've got the contrast medium. And here is our new wet palette. So let's have a go. Get a nice healthy dose of that. Okay, that's already thinned that down. So even on the wet palette, it still keeps the texture of the paint by the looks. Well, let's have a test on a model. Yeah, it's pretty smooth. Now I'm wondering, let's clean this brush off. Try some of this contrast medium and see exactly what it does. Oh, I can see the actual, yeah it has, it's turned the actual base paint into what looks more like a layer paint. Yeah, you can see that, even despite the wet palette. Yeah, let's have a go with that then. Let's take off his arm. You see that? It's not affected the paint and thinned it too much, it still goes on well. Oh, very nice. Very nice indeed. Now it's looking more like a wash, which is kind of what I wanted. To do these underparts, which are already undercoated in Chaos Black. It looks like whoever owned it, I bought it used off eBay. Had to go at dry brushing. So the top half has got quite a thick layer of grey dry brushing, and the rear here was just chaos black. Then up here it was all grey, as you can see by the heads, the gun there, even the legs. So I thought I would leave it exactly as it was and use the existing setup of dark at the back coming up and the lighter at the front, and I'll take advantage of that with natural highlights with my paints. The wet palette is still very wet, the paints are still there, but I think there's a bit too much water in there I think I may have done this wrong, but we'll keep carrying on for now. The paint's working, that's what I'm concerned about. So if it's working, I'm happy. It's nice and thin, so it's not going to take any more of the detail away from the bad dry brushing. So now I'm at camera, I want to painting this. There we go, you can see yourselves. It's just a nice thin coat. Take his other arm off. Get a bit more of that on his brush. We'll go down the other side, look. That's working rather well, is that contrast medium. I approve. First time I've tried it. You can see why so many painters on here talk about it. It's a very useful tool, because base paints can be thick. So I've noticed the lighter shades of the base paints, such as Corax White, Bleach Bone, they're all really thick, really thick. For example, oh, there's a Bleach Bone, Wraith Bone, sorry. Open it up, and it is just a thick paint. Look at that. But then it goes to something like Macragge Blue. It's not half as thick. Look at that. Lovely and smooth. One that is the opposite rule though. Fist and red. Oh no, that's actually looking quite alright. You can see where it's a lot thicker up here though. Citadel paints, they're funny old things really. I wonder how long I can actually use this for though. Yeah, it is. It's made it more like a contrast medium. It's made it more like a contrast paint. You can dry my brush and just pull it away like you can a contrast. Oh, that's very handy. I do like using contrasts a lot more than the bases, just because of the thinness of them. For example, you know, I've got what over here in my contrast, we've got 3, 6, 9, 12 contrasts, a couple of technicals, we've got as metallics, and then what's that, 10, 13, 16, 18, 20 base paints, and then the contrast. So, but it's what I need. To be fair, all I did is I bought 2 Space Marine 40k start paint sets, because the paints everybody should have. Doubled up on them. I bought a Age of Sigmar paint set because it's got some useful paints in it that I didn't have. And then I just added 2 with various watches such as Tesseract Glow, or I went out and got the Iron and Yellow wash. Went out and got some Stormfang Steel. There we go. A lighter gold, I got Liberated Gold. The technicals both came out of paint kits. But yeah, it's quite cheap ways to start, because you can pick those paint kits up on eBay for a good price, to be fair. Just make sure you check the pictures and they, you know, they're not all open and dried out and looking nasty. So I've seen some of those on eBay. Sorry, I'm just trying to, my camera's to my right, so I keep sitting off and I'm trying not to fall you. But as far as the unboxing of the wet paint palette by Army Painter and then testing it, well, let's see, let's get a bit more light over here. There we go. You can see how it's quite clearly gone in well on the back. So we've only done like those top edges, the back pipes. We did a bit on his arm. Right there. And yeah, the contrast medium, which thins down the base paint, and then we're on the rather wet palette. And yeah, it's still got me basically my desired result. I'd already covered it in Space Wolves Grey pure contrast, and then I'm literally wanting to get the armour in this. So yeah, happy days. Well, that, peeps, is the Army Painter wet palette. I got mine from Amazon. I've got no affiliate links or out like that, but my reason for buying it, it's always a good point to say. So I've been using these tiles, just little white tiles. That's Space Wolves contrast that we're putting on the tile earlier, and it just dries up so quick. So I thought, right, doing bigger models now, like the Dreadnought for example, that's going to be an absolute pain in the ass. It gets dry, you get lumps in your paint, and it just, I have noticed it on a couple of the models I've been practicing on, that you can get lumps on your models because they get into the brush because the paint started to dry. So I think there's a lot of arguments for a wet palette. But I will leave it at that. Thank you very much for stopping by. Big love to you all. See you soon, people.